Con, we're live, brother.
How are you, Shuri?
I'm good, man. I'm really good.
Thanks for inviting me.
Heaps of people that listen to this show will know of you. Heaps won't. I want to start with you. If someone at a dinner party asks you what you do, how do you explain it?
I mean, it all depends, but ultimately, the simple and the straight answer is that I, in a nutshell, buy and sell seafood. And if you wanted to get into detail of layers of what I do, then I buy, the best seafood I can get my hands on, and I align it with people that think like myself and who are chasing the same style of product, whether it's premium or quality or unique.
Yeah, but do you look at yourself as a businessman or a relationship manager?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's much of muchness for me because I'm everything anyway. I don't particularly look at what I do overarching as a business thing as much as I do as a natural instinct thing. So, I go home, I'm thinking of seafood. I'm at work, I'm touching and I'm thinking about fish all day. I'm thinking about the next fish I'm going to look for or buy or whatever. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it is business, and above all, I am a business person because I attach all the commerciality behind what I do.
Yeah.
But I think what drives me the most is the product itself.
The love of seafood, where did it come from? Like, did your family, was your dad in it? Did you grow up on the water?
Yeah, actually, none of the above. What got me into seafood in the first place was the sheer desire to work. So I would have been about 13 at the time, and I literally just wanted to earn my own keep because becoming a little bit of a teenager, so to speak, I wanted to, buy and sort of what I wanted rather than what my parents could afford.
What did your mum and dad do?
So dad, his profession was a welder.
Yeah.
Mum pretty much worked in factories for a few years, but dad ended up starting a cleaning company, and for most of the time he basically ran contracts cleaning around Sydney, clubs, offices, things like that.
Yeah.
So, by the time I hit 13 or 14, I, started to want
more
good things and more and whatever, and dad obviously had a limit to what he wanted to spend on, whether it be shoes or shirts or whatever it was. So I decided it was time for me to start looking for my own way.
And you thought you'd find one of the hardest things on the planet to do, get up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest with you, it's funny because when I look back on my life in the work environment, whether it be school or work or whatever the responsibility was, I've never really put a value on it at all as to whether it be hard or easy. I just did it. So the work ethic for me, back in the day wasn't really even a notion until later, and looking back on people talking about work ethic, I had it my whole life. My dad was a workaholic. My mum worked.
Were they immigrants here?
Yes. So mum and dad came to Australia in 1975 after the war that happened in Cyprus, where I was born, and looking for a better future. And this is where they ended up. I was about 4.5 years old at the time, and my dad just got stuck into work, and that was all he did. And so for me, work was nothing scary. It's just what we did, And so one of the first jobs I found after school and on the weekends was in a fish shop, cooking fish and chips and selling fresh fish in Maroubra. That's what I did.
Incredible. Did you grow up in that area?
I grew up in Kensington, so it wasn't far off, and I got in there to replace a mate of mine who was going overseas, and he said, "Do you want some work?" I'll ask the boss, and if he wants to have you fill in for me, then you can do that for 2 weeks. And I did, and I ended up staying there, and I did good 9 years in that shop, and then.
It would have been an interesting place back then, Maroubra. Super working class, the height of the the bra boys. And
100%. It was a time that, that obviously very ethnic centric Maroubra, and the fish shop was what we sold in that fish shop was indicative of and reflective of who lived in the area, and it was pretty much all wog fish. What's
wog fish? Shark.
I mean, all the cheap stuff. Red spot whiting and octopus back then at $2 a kilo. Forget now. I mean, there's no comparison. But back then, all those species were sort of junk fish.
Yeah, get it.
And that's what they came and wanted. And I enjoyed every minute of working in that environment.
Was it because it was your first job that you just continued with it, or did you have a natural affiliation for the industry?
So I think for me, when I look back and try to understand my own attraction to the industry, it was a combination of things. So firstly, it gave me independence, so the money thing. Here I am earning, by the time I was 18 and doing full-time work during, university holidays, I was earning $1,000 a week. We're talking 1988, 89.
That's a lot of money.
Big bucks.
Yeah.
So there was that aspect. There was the aspect that I was very good at it in the sense that customers loved me. So I had interpersonal skills and I loved dealing with people. So that was a natural thing that combined with the fish, which was the medium or whatever it is that we were using to transact at the time. There was the independence with the money that I was getting.
Yeah.
And my bosses loved me because I was a hardworking kid.
Yeah, got it.
So they made me feel unreal. That was where I wanted to be. That's where my friends were at the beach and, going out and shopping during the day and stuff. And I was there every spare moment. I was at Maroubra Fish Shop working.
Yeah, incredible. So the decision to do something on your own, was the first thing Demcos, or was there steps towards that?
So what happened, I worked at Maroubra Fish Shop for many years. I finished high school, probably after that got into university. I went to Wollongong, studying commerce, majoring in accounting and legal. But I was always back at the fish shop every Friday because I mean, a commerce degree back then, I don't know what it is now, but back then was like 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
So I'd literally be at uni when I was there for 3 days, and the rest I was free to do whatever you were supposed to be studying and preparing for stuff, and I was working or doing, recovering from the night before partying or whatever. But so I worked Fridays, Saturdays. There was no Sundays back then. Saturdays was half a day. Sundays came in later. So that's pretty much what I did. And then by the time third year uni came around, I was having to repeat failed subjects, which all centered around financial accounting. So the prerequisites to QA and whatever else, quantitative analysis, I kept failing.
Yeah.
So I had about 3 or 4 subjects that I needed to complete to get my degree. And what happened was in the 4th year, I couldn't attend any of those subjects till the 2nd semester. So what did I do? I got into full-time fish work for the first 6 months and never looked back.
Never went back.
So no, because it was full-time income.
Yeah.
And I started, with a very close mate of mine at the time, we started Demcos part-time. So I'd work full-time in the fish shop.
Yeah.
And, we started supplying restaurants on the side part-time, not really knowing what we were getting into. So forget about business plans and strategies. We were just happy to be doing something on our own that was different to retail.
Yeah, got it.
And then that evolved into a full-time supply thing. So
over what period did it grow into a business?
So I think it was 1993 that I fell into full-time employment. And by the end of that year or halfway through that year, James and I, being my best mate at the time and still friends, we started Demcos on a full-time basis. And that meant that we weren't working full-time anymore. We had pulled around $6,000 in cash together, put it together. And we basically started buying fish from the fish market auctions directly and started door knocking and selling to restaurants, not knowing who our market was at the time. By 1994, we had a developed sort of market. We had people resonating and gravitating towards what we were doing, saying, "You guys, where are you from? What are you doing? We want this, we want that." And by 1995, we had moved into a proper factory. Or I think it was 96. We moved into a proper factory in Alexandria, where we, I think at the time we were probably doing about 40 or 50K a week. We had about 15 staff. And by 1997, there was about 30 or 35 of us with twice the factory size and 4 or 5 vehicles on the road. So between 93 and 95, 96, we were running, a good little business, and everybody in Sydney who wanted to know good fish knew us.
So as the hospitality industry in Australia leading up to the Olympics, when that kind of changed everything, did your business just continue to grow? And
so I think by 2000, we pretty much plateaued. We probably,
at what levels, mate? What like
I think,
turnover? What were you doing?
Yeah, so I think by 2000, we probably were doing about 10 mil a year, and
profitable 10 mil.
We you know what, we always made money up until 2000. I always look at 2000 as the cornerstone or the turning point of the whole restaurant industry, not just obviously seafood, but the industry in itself.
Why do you say that? Because some people would say that was the start of the industry.
It was an illusion.
Level 41 started, first had a restaurant.
Actually, you know what? 41 was already in existence.
It was the only one in existence when the Olympics was here.
It was.
And then post the Olympics, there was like an avalanche.
So I'll tell you what happened and what sort of resonates in my mind in relation to that period. So I think 2000, the build up to 2000 was great anticipation of big things to come for the city, for the country, for all industries, for the economy and whatnot. And we all saw that with the infrastructure that not only went into the roads and buildings and whatnot, it went into the food scene as well. So we moved from a top or a white cloth dining room being on Macleay Street, Potts Point, a hole in the mall with fresh paint and some nice tables and chairs and white tablecloths, to now having $3 million fit outs.
Yeah.
So I remember a restaurant called, I think it was Roco Coco in what's the King Street Wharf, Lime Street, I think. And I remember the budget for that restaurant in 2000 was like $3 million, and I think it opened and closed within 6 months. I might be wrong. I can't remember entirely the situation, but that was indicative of lots of things going on, not just one or two. I mean, I remember Matt Moran moving from Chalice Avenue, Macleay Street, corner of Chalice Avenue, Macleay Street, to where they are now, obviously, so many years later. So that was the change in the industry. I remember Paul Merony or Merony's in Circular Quay being one of the greatest sort of venues to go to and have dinner. That whole period is when everything changed. So we moved from as I described, a sort of suburban or Potts Point, fine diner, Paramount, Moran's, Cicada, all these restaurants, which were part of my era in terms of business growth and reputation and all that sort of stuff, to a totally new ball game. And every restaurant was the same in that regard. So beautiful fit outs, designer chairs, designer this, that, the other. The focus went from the ingredient to now the fit out, or to running a restaurant based on that whole ambience and making it tougher to make a margin.
And do you think that that was what I was about to ask you? Do you think that change of the guard was then the demise of the pressure that was put on to suppliers, going, you know what, I've got $3 million, I need to get a return on that capital. The only lever I've really got is COGS or salaries and wages. I need people to actually work here, so I'll just put more pressure on the supplier?
Look, it's one way to look at it. And for us suppliers, we're always going to look at that as the key driver to downward pressure on on prices and product and ingredients, and perhaps that is a big part of it. And I'm sure there's a lot more, including potentially rents and labor and whatever. But ultimately we went from a chef. I remember back in 1997, 98, selling wild Murray cod at the time for $30 or $40 a kilo, or Maori wrasse for that kind of money, and that was big bucks. And a chef of any regard, of any high regard, wouldn't balk at that price. I mean, they just wanted the product. So now we bring in product that's hasn't been around in 30 years, and you might get one or two chefs inquiring and trying to work out whether it works for them or not. So the focus, definitely has shifted from pure focus on the food to can I afford it? Can I make that work on the plate? Can it meet my food cost sort of target? And that is, it's now obviously all about that. And I get it. They have to think like that, because otherwise, if they don't, then they can't have a profitable business. And obviously the ownership of restaurants has moved from single operators or chef owners to big groups. Owning 2, 3, 4, 6, 10 outlets. It's a completely different scape. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah. Because do you think, and maybe we should come back to that, because I do want to finish on the Demkos thing. What happened there, Con? Like, you had this great business. You were a stalwart in the industry. You and Anthony, Anthony on
that's how I met Anthony.
side. And you on the fish or the seafood side were just running hard, supplying all of the best restaurants in Sydney. And then boom. Your business was gone. What went wrong?
I mean, in a nutshell, it was a combination of factors, okay? And like any business,
give me the unfiltered version.
The unfiltered version. All right. So
don't put any sugar on it.
No, I won't. I'll tell you how I feel it, and how I think about it when I reflect on it all the time, because I reflect on it multiple times.
Does it still hurt?
You know what? It does, but not for the reasons that people might think it hurts, which is I've lost my business, something I created from very young.
Because you were living like kings, weren't you?
So
big house in Longueville,
absolutely.
fast cars.
And I'll get to that. I'm one of those guys that, even though I come from a very sort of migrant background with the typical story of they've come with no education to this country with one suitcase with 2 things in it and no money, and they've done really well or whatever. I'm from that.
Bring that up closer for me.
I'm from that background.
Awesome.
For me, I'm easy come, easy go with money. I've never been one to really put a lot of emphasis on it. I never gave a shit for cash. I wanted money like everybody else does.
And you worked hard.
And I worked for the money, and I got the money, and I created my own future, or I created my own destiny, if you like.
That seems pretty okay to me. You have a mum and dad that are so frugal, because that's what they did. You go, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to be like them,
or you're going to go the other way. And I was the other way.
Get it, man.
So I never expected anything from anybody. I was prepared to put every fucking hour of work or sweat or whatever to make the buck that I made, so then I can spend it. Okay? So for me, the fact that I lost it all, I never really bled that much for that, as much as I did for the people that I dragged with me. So whether that be my mum and dad, who always told me to be careful, or whether it be my wife that suffered through the whole time that she'd been with me because of the kind of person I was.
How many kids did you have when you went broke?
2, and my wife was pregnant with
3.
a third.
So 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to the lead up. So when you're 20, when you're as young as I was, earning the money I was, going back as early as 17 or 18, earning $1,000 a week, I knew that my earning capacity and potential was huge. And I always knew that nothing could stop me. If I wanted to earn X amount, I could. So for me, earning money wasn't even, part of the equation. I knew I could do it with my eyes closed in whatever I did. So doing that for many years as a kid, as a university student, I remember my mum used to collect all the loose change that I'd get from going out of a night during my 3-month break, university holiday break. I'd throw anything that was $10, $5 notes and dollar coins, or I'd put on my bedside table. And at the end of the 3-month break, before I'd go back to uni, my mum would rock up with all this cash. She'd say to me, "Here," and I'd say, "What's that?" She said, "That's all the change that you just threw on your bedside table every night from coming out." And there'd be like $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it was. So I never cared for it, but I had it on tap. So with that attitude and that respect or disrespect for money, I was able to start this business. Take it from zero, no capital, very little funding, no business plan, to a $10 million a year business in sales back in 1995. We would have hit that, or 97. We would have hit that sort of money, or 98, and making good money. I was able to buy whatever I wanted, and by the age of 30, I owned a $1.5 million home in Lane Cove with a 14-meter pool in the back, and my mortgage wasn't even that huge. So for me, that was like nothing, and so it wasn't enough. I'm by nature a restless person, and it's not even striving for bigger and better. It's just boredom and wanting to do something more. And whether it's in business or in my personal life, I'm the same. I was the same.
Yeah.
So within a year, I never stayed in a home for more than 2 years. I'd fix a house, I'd sell it, I'd have the next property bought, fix that, built it, and then finally, where it all came undone was by 2007 or 6. I had my last project. Was a $3 million project that I poured every cent into.
What project?
It was a home in Longville. So I had my business and I was mucking around on the side, building and selling and whatever. Plus I had back then off the plan apartments that I was just putting, bank guarantees down and buying left, right and center and making money, like it was out of fashion without even seeing the plans. You know what I mean? That's how easy money came. So I was highly geared. By sort of 2006, I probably had $5 million in debt, in personal debt.
How much in the business?
Look, the business, I'll get to that, because what broke the camel's back is sort of twofold, business and personal.
Yeah. So $5 million in debt.
So I had $5 million in personal debt.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest property that I was putting everything into at the time, building it, whatever, in Longville, blue chip, blah, blah, blah. This was going to make me, $1 million by the end of it. And other properties that I owned in partnership with Anthony in bits and pieces here and there would have been about $5 million. And at the same time, and what leads you to that sort of attitude and gun-ho approach to everything, and no fear. And I was a risk taker. I didn't care for risk. It didn't matter what it was. If I thought that I could do it, I'd just do it. I wouldn't really sit there and calculate what would happen if there was no bad outcome. It was always going to be a good outcome.
And the banks were clearly loose back then.
And they were. I remember having meetings with the NAB back then where they were calling us big boys, and we were 28, and I was driving a brand new M3. And I'll tell you about why I ended up changing the M3 to a Ferrari, because someone told me that the M3 was a poor man's Ferrari. So just shit like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, going back to the properties, everything was going well. And with regards to the business,
can I just understand? Because the business was doing $10 million in 98. What was it doing in 2006?
Look, I can't. I think it was the same. It didn't move. It didn't really grow. There was no movement in restaurants after the Olympics. Instead of growth, there was negative growth or shrinkage, if you like. There wasn't much going on after the Olympics other than us bracing ourselves. We lost after the Olympics in bad debts from restaurants closing. I think I lost within that same period of time, not after the Olympics, sorry, closer to this whole culmination and crescendo of my own demise, I had calculated that we had lost something like 200,000 in 2005-06.
In bad debts.
And I remember thinking, fuck, how much have I lost since I started? So I calculated that between 1993 and 2006, we had done $1 million, just gone out the window. And I won't tell you what it takes to make $1 million in revenue in our business. But anyway, that happened, and at the same time, the business went from renting in Alexandria to saying, you know what, fuck renting, we're buying our own premises. So we paid $1 million for a plant in Botany that was an export-approved facility, of which, so here's your personal debt, here's business in a really sort of uncertain time. But you got to remember, as you're accelerating and picking up momentum and inertia, there's no sort of slowing down in what you're doing. The monster wants more. So,
but your business was slowing down.
The business was slowing down, and unbeknownst to me, there was a GFC coming as well, and that obviously takes a tsunami doesn't hit the shore straight away.
Does it surprise you there was a GFC when the bank was so loose in giving you $6 million?
Well, in hindsight, no.
Yeah, it's true, hey?
But I didn't give a shit.
No, I get that.
I didn't give a shit because for me, I was Teflon in everything I did. Nothing went bad. I mean, remember, I've been doing this since I was a kid. I'm now nearly 30, I'm nearly 32, 33. Nothing has gone wrong, and whatever I did worked. So I had that attitude, there might be shit going on around me, but it's not going to affect me because we've been doing this for too long now. We've got a sort of stable client base. We're well known. We do things the right way. Yeah. We work hard. Nothing's going to go wrong. So what really fucked it up as well was our growth was funded by debtor finance factoring. So factoring was an expensive way to grow. Yeah. But my money and my personal sort of equity was all tied up in growing my own personal wealth and portfolio. Yeah. That the best way for us to do it from a business perspective was factoring. So at the time that we had just bought a factory in Botany, moving away from rent, the NAB decided it didn't want to factor anymore. So we had a few months to find a new factoring facility. We went to another mob, which was far more expensive. So our cost of operating became astronomically more expensive very quickly. So economy slowing down, my personal debt's growing, and the business funding's getting more expensive. Yeah. So it is a bomb waiting to fucking explode.
Did you see it coming?
I did, maybe too late. So what I started doing was putting my own personal property on the market. But what was happening
before the GFC, or
maybe a year before, but not early enough. Not early enough because the market was already retracting, and I knew that because when I was putting blue chip properties on the market, some of them I had to pay from my own pocket to get out of the mortgage that I was in. So negative I was fucked. I was screwed. Yeah. So I knew that I was in a lot of trouble, and we needed to find a way to save 16, 17 years or whatever it was of hard work, reputation, brand, or whatever. And that's when we found somebody, or he found us, heard that we were going bad, or whatever. And I'll never forget that period of my life. It was fucked. It was the shittest time of my life, but it was actually one of the best times of my life straight after, and I'll explain that too.
Yeah, I want to hear that. Can I ask on that though, Con? I can only imagine, like, it's stressful just hearing the story, and I knew you vaguely back then, but were you on top of all that stress? Were you partying and stuff still, or?
I was always partying anyway. I think for me, partying was just part of who I was. And it wasn't partying because it wasn't partying because that's what you did when you sort of had a business. It was partying because I was partying when I was at uni.
Yeah, well, most people party at uni, man,
I continued
but not most
partying.
people party when they got $6 million of debt and a
Yeah, you know what? As I said, easy come, easy go for me, and that's how I made money. So I borrowed money, and I did what I did.
No judgment, man.
But it's not even about that.
Yeah.
Like, if I could go back and change things, I'd be smarter about how I grew that debt and how I managed that business and how I managed my own personal wealth or my personal portfolio and how I overextended myself. But I think that at that point in time, we needed to find a way to save what we had.
Yeah. So this white knight rode in on his noble horse.
There was a few of them, and then the final sort of decision was one particular guy just made it really simple. You know, he said, "Look, we need to liquidate Demcos and start again." So that's what we did. You know, we liquidated the business because we had no other choice. The sheriffs were knocking on the door.
Yeah.
You know, I knew at that point in time I had sold everything I had in order to, and I put whatever equity I did get from some investments. Most of them I had lost on. On the big one, I had done my balls on completely. So we went from a valuation of 3.8 million on my main home to selling it for 2.9. So I had torn up every cent that I put in that property.
Yeah.
And the money that I did get from some of the other property that I sold, I put back in the business to try and save it, but it wasn't enough. So, you know, and to be honest with you, there's a lot more intricate detail that goes on when a business goes through this process.
Get it.
For example, the industry starts talking. Not so much your customers, but your competitors.
Yeah.
So the competitors are telling other competitors that Demcos is struggling.
Don't deal with
The vultures are starting to circle.
Yeah.
And I won't name names, but they compounded. To be honest, if I was a little bit more unscrupulous and a bit unethical, I could have saved Demcos without doing what I did. Because there's ways and means to hold on to your business that we were young and naive and too honest to have done. But at the end of the day, we were under a lot of pressure from suppliers who had heard that they wanted to sell to us, but at the same time, they wanted their money quickly.
Yeah.
So how do I run a business that's paying in 7 days when my average customer
30 days
is 30 and 45? It just doesn't add up, does it?
No.
Buy now, pay in 7, get paid in 45. There's no, unless you've got deep pockets or shitloads of, fat, it's not going to work. And that's what happened. Look, that's why I say there was a multitude of reasons. I had personal debt that was huge. The business was factoring, that was bad. The economy was fucking up, okay? And we didn't have enough funding to ride the storm. So, and the competitors made it easy for us to die. But you know what? We sort of didn't. And it's ironic because this white knight came along, funded us to the shit house.
Was it a competitor, the white knight?
It wasn't actually a competitor, but it was an industry person with his own vertically integrated business, retail, lots of boats, lots of access to fish. And he said, I love what you do. I don't want to see you guys go completely. I want to take your know-how. I want to take your work ethic. I want to fund it. And I want you guys to run it. And I want you to build, a future again from what you know how to do best. And we did. We started. So within 12 months of doing that, I needed a break. I needed a holiday. I'd just gone through this shit. I basically liquidated everything I worked for. There was a whole lot of people that didn't want to know me. There was a whole lot of suppliers that were affected. There was my own family who was questioning my abilities and what the fuck I got them into.
Was it hard on your marriage?
Do you know what, mate? Like, the only reason that I probably am as strong as I am, because I wonder where I get all this strength from, because you asked me before if it affected me. Look, I'm not ignorant, and I'm not a non-sympathetic person. I'm actually quite sensitive, and I have my own darknesses. But at the end of the day, I am tough. I have to be tough. I had to be tough getting into where I got to the point that I got at. I worked in hard and harsh environments from very young. So I'm pretty tough as a human being. But what made it easier for me is that my wife and my support mechanisms around me, whether it's love or whether it's, I don't know, blindness or whatever it might be, that held it all together because she didn't leave me. Although despite her stomping her feet on the ground from the minute she met me and my ways of spending money and, just the way I was as an individual and reckless in the way I handled money, she stuck with me. And I told her many times if she didn't like it, she could lump it. I've never said to her, please, babe, don't leave me or whatever. I was always very cruel in that regard because you know what? I work my fucking ass off. I work 15, 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. I provide, education for my kids. I provide a home. I provide whatever it is that we need. So don't question what I do. If I am the way I am and I get us to where I get us, whether it's good or bad, it's because of who I am. Yeah. So don't question me. Yeah. But I understand that that's not fair. But you know what? I met her when I was very young. We fell in love. It's a strong love. I still love her today the way I did back then.
Yeah, she's awesome.
We're very close. So I guess she feels that same way. And
tell me though, Con, when this white knight came in and said, "Love what you do, going to take it over," it sounds like he stitched you up to me. Like,
why?
Did he just? Well, it just feels like he wanted you to work for him. And that you didn't have equity in what was essentially your business.
Yeah, I see why you say that, but you got.
But is that the truth?
No, I don't believe.
Oh, no. Did you have equity in the new business?
No. Yeah. How could I? I bankrupted myself.
Sure.
So I couldn't even be a director of a company for 3 years.
So he just wanted you to.
Yeah. Look. Everyone's got an agenda. Yeah. Everybody. Let's not be naive. But who gives a shit? At the end of the day, he can't do it without me and I can't do it without him. Yeah. So if symbiotically we can do something, then fuck, who gives a shit what his agenda is? As long as it's all kosher, it's all above board, we're all making money from it, we've all got a future from it, then who cares? Like, he was making money on the situation. Who funds someone or something without wanting a return? The way he saw it was I was funneling his fish through my channels of contacts, business and clients. Yeah. And that's all I want. I wanted fish to sell. And as long as that fish met my criteria, then that's what I wanted to do. So you know what? A lot of people say that, and people still continue to say that now about other ventures I've gotten myself involved with. But it's not like that. It can be seen that way and I can understand why. But I choose my bed and I choose, and I'm wise and I've had experience and I get the right advice and I've seen you for advice and God knows how many times I've bounced off you and Anthony and whatever. But at the end of the day, we're not kids. So whether something does work out or doesn't, I know what I'm getting into.
I think it's a good approach.
I chose to pull out of that. And that's another story where it's ironic, as I said earlier, that we found the white knight. We were back in the game. Things were looking on the up and up. I was all of a sudden free to get out there and grow this fucking business with someone's money, that I couldn't do before because I was so suffocated in debt and cash flow and problems and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So instead of saying, right, let's do this, I did for about 6 months.
And then you burn out.
It's not even that. I was already burnt out. I was just running on adrenaline and rebirth. But I stopped one day and I looked around me and I said, you know what? Nothing's changed. We've got the same customers. The industry is the same. Margins are the same. My staff are the same. Yeah. All that's changed is my economic situation. Is that enough? No, it's not. Yeah. Am I going to be doing this shit in 15 years the way I did it the last 15? Probably I will. Will I end up in 15 years where I ended up today, 15 years later? Most likely. Why? because of my surroundings. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. It's just like looking through another window and looking at a different view, but you're in the same house. So I decided.
You wanted a different view.
I did.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know what, I need a break. So my parents live overseas, so do my siblings.
In Greece.
So I went to Cyprus.
Yeah. Louis, can you do me a favour, man, and turn that heater off? Just Costa's on fire, man.
So
just press that button, man. It's off? Okay, perfect.
So
it's just you radiating.
Yeah, it's probably
heat,
me
man.
with his blue top. So I booked a holiday. It was ripe to go away. We've just gone through bankruptcy. We've just liquidated a business. We've started a new one.
You had a little bit of money left, clearly, though.
I didn't have anything left, Paul.
Really?
I had nothing at all.
Enough
I had
just
no
to get
home.
yeah, wow.
The apartment that I lived in was funded by my new financial backer.
Yeah.
So he paid for the bond for me to move into this apartment.
With 3 kids?
With all, yeah, my wife literally was popping that month that we moved into this apartment, right? With the third one. So and I had nothing. All my credit cards that I had were gone. My cars that were leased, I asked all the finance companies to pick them up and take them. I had a bankruptcy number now that I could tell all my creditors that, you know what, here's the number, take this down. I'm on a new journey. So I had nothing. A lot of people think that I had $1 million that I, sent overseas, but
nothing.
I mean, they did all those searches and they found nothing because there was nothing to find. You know what I mean? If that was the case, I possibly would never have come back to Sydney.
Yeah.
So I went on a holiday and I left the apartment with all my furniture, which is all I had left, my pots and pans and my couches and whatever beautiful furniture I had from Longaville that I moved into this 3-bedroom apartment. I went overseas with my missus and the kids to see my parents, and it was when I got there that I collapsed and sort of said, "Fuck, what the fuck have I just gone through?" And I remember the last one being born, my daughter, and thinking that she was the sort of symbol for my resurrection and my new life, and maybe my new life was supposed to be something totally, totally different and new.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't be going back to Sydney, and maybe I shouldn't be doing fish anymore. So after this whole tumultuous time, probably a year worth of dealing with it all, maybe 2 even, and I remember thinking all I had left was my missus and the kids. Even my in-laws didn't really, they obviously loved us and whatever, but they didn't think, that I did it. Yeah. Or maybe I just fucked up, all these years taking their daughter down the wrong path. And I had my own parents saying, look, to be honest, there's only one thing that really drives me insane in all of this madness. And it's not even that I dragged my family through it. Because a lot of people go bust and a lot of people, give it a go. Yeah. I think for me,
I've done it.
I think for me, Paul, I know your own story. And I think for me, there was one thing that I can't ever fix because it was big. My father, who spent all his life working in factories, never drove new cars, never ate at good restaurants, never bought himself new shoes or beautiful clothing or whatever. He at one point, before all this shit, he basically allowed me to use one of his properties as collateral against this fucked up house I was building in Longaville.
Yeah.
This monster that was eating up every fucking cent that I had, that I thought was going to be my, lotto. And, I remember sitting in a room with my mum and dad, and they're going, "Are you sure everything's going to be all right?" And I'm telling my mum and dad, "Yes, don't worry. You can trust me," because I did trust myself, and I wasn't going to rip my own parents off. And, they knew I was a hard worker, and they saw the business was doing well. And as cagey as they were about, the way they spent money all their lives, they trusted me, and they signed this fucking house over to me. And I lost it. I lost that house. So I took a chunk of their lives away from them that I can't ever replace. So you know what? No one died in this whole fucking thing. Yeah, I went broke. Yeah, I've got nothing. Yeah, I was, living off my in-laws and whatever the fuck I did then.
Tough for a proud man.
Yeah, very. And I still think about it today. My dad liquidated. My dad sold that house in 2008 during the shittest time of the Australian economy, right in the middle of GFC. Because there was obviously money borrowed against that house that I was repaying, and he said, "You know what? How long are you going to keep doing this for? I'm going back to Sydney and I'm selling it, and whatever happens, happens." So he got shit money for that house. He wasn't planning on selling that property. He got shit money for it. By the time he paid capital gains on it, there was fuck all left. So in a nutshell, I took away from a migrant fucking, a property that he toiled over for fucking years to pay off so that his shit son can just annihilate it in fucking in a year.
I'm sure he wasn't saying he was a shit
You know
son.
what? He never
was
did.
saying my entrepreneurial
You know
son.
what? No, you know what, Paul?
Yeah.
He never ever made me feel shit for doing it.
That's because he loves you and he's
He
your dad.
never spoke about it, ever.
Bless him.
Anyway, so, I was over there and I said to my mum and dad, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that shit place. I don't want to go back to the rat race, and I definitely don't want to go back to who I was because I feel pure here. I feel like this is an opportunity to start my life again.
Were you
and
working there or just relaxing?
No, I was there on a 4-week break. With no intention of staying.
Coming back, yeah. But how long?
No,
did you end
I
up
had
staying?
I was planning on coming
you were
back.
just going for 4 weeks.
I was on a 4-week holiday.
How long did you end up staying?
So what happened was, with all this conversation and emotion and shit going through my head, and when you stop doing what you're doing at 100 miles an hour and you start thinking, you go into places that you've never gone before. And I didn't want to come back. So I said to my wife, listen, I said, if I hypothetically found a job here in Cyprus, would you consider staying? And she looked at me, and she was tired, mate, mentally as well, and physically, spiritually broken. And she said, you know what? If it's paying, you our way or whatever, then you know what? I wouldn't mind doing it for a few years and see where it takes us. So I started applying for jobs with offshore companies because Cyprus economy is very much about, offshore companies, and they're all the big companies doing business in the middle of Europe and the Middle East and whatever. And mate, first interviews were fast turning into third interviews, and I said to her, look, this is getting serious. Why don't you go and see your parents who were in Greece at the time holidaying, seeing their own relatives? Take the kids and go there because this is going to go past our 4-week holiday. I'm going to need more time. So I stayed that extra week or two, and I had 3 jobs to choose from, all paying massive money, and they were enjoyable looking jobs with corporates and whatnot. And I said, you know what, let's do it. And she agreed, started the employment with, a Kuwaiti company based in Cyprus. And I was in Kuwait doing training for 2 weeks, and the next thing you know, I was there for 3.5 years. And I had to ring my sister-in-law at the time to pack the container and send the furniture to Cyprus, and that's what happened.
And were you enjoying it? Were you honestly having a good time?
I was,
there?
Paul. You know why? Because I had nothing. I had no money. I had no responsibility in and around the connections I had with Sydney. I was in a new environment, learning new things, and I'm one of these people that can pick up and go very easily. I dust myself off and I just move on with it. And it was a new opportunity to start again. And here I was in the country that I was born. I felt this connection with. I had my parents. I had my sisters.
Yeah. And did Tula like it?
She struggled hard.
She wanted to be back in Sydney.
She wanted to come back to her mum and dad, and she was struggling. The customs were different. There was a language barrier potentially.
Is she Greek too?
She is. Her mum and dad are Greek. Yeah. She was born here in Sydney, and look, it was hard. And I said to her, look, we can't keep fucking around. Like, we've made this decision. We need to try and make this work. Within a year, she acclimatized, and when you look back on it now, so many years later, she actually loved being there, and she understands and is able to compare the life that we pretended to live here in Sydney compared to the life that we lived there, which was, I went from driving Ferraris, BMWs, and any car that I wanted to a Kia. And I was happy as Larry, doing my thing.
But isn't that the lesson, Con?
Big
that
time.
We all strive for these things that at the end of the day don't matter.
I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Absolute shit. And that's what, but that, you know what? That's what I love about what happened to me. That I was able to understand that I can live without any of this stuff. And you know what? The irony of it all is that I'm back working, and Anthony inadvertently brought me back to Sydney. I was never planning.
And we'll get to that, or maybe we have to do a second part of this feature series. But the interesting thing, when I get and absolutely believe that you don't need any of the stuff that you lost, but the thing that you can't do without, that most people, and I include myself in this, that are wired that way can't do without, is the thrill of the chase.
That's what it's all about for me, mate.
And that's what brought you back to Sydney, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I boil it all down, back to what I was saying, I'm a restless person. It's because I love that you call it the chase. I love that, watching things happen, unfold. And as you get older and more experienced at things, you sort of even know more now how to put them together. And you already see the outcome before you've entered the path.
Yeah.
And the excitement is greater because you can taste and feel the end result. And it's about that end result and creating something and watching it flourish and then having some sort of value.
Yeah.
Whatever that value is, financial value or kudos or industry or whatever it might be.
Reputation.
Reputation's a big, I'm all about reputation.
Yeah.
Everything I do is based on who I am.
Did you feel, and I do think that we need to do a second part to this because I wanted to get into the weeds in how a fish guy ends up working for the celebrity butcher, and that's a big conversation in itself. But do you feel, other than the thrill of the chase and thrill of the chase is probably the wrong words, but the desire to do things, to build things, to grow as a person, to grow businesses, whatever it happens to be, that coming back was also about redemption and making good on your reputation?
You know what? You're right. You're right. I mean, there's two parts to it. The first part is that it's who I am. All the things that you said, it's just building things and creating and whatever. And to summarize that part of me is conversations that I've had with Anthony over the phone while I was overseas, the first year, the second year, the third year. Aren't you bored, man, with what you're doing? No, it's great. We're growing. We're buying stores. We're opening new brands in other countries. I'm looking after Jordan. I'm looking after this country now, and I'm killing it in my balanced scorecards, which I never ever heard of until I started working for this giant of a company.
Yeah.
And I was killing it with my KPIs, what the fuck's a KPI? I put KPIs on me every day of my life. I don't need somebody. But that's what I started understanding.
Yeah.
And he, third year into it, I said, maybe Anthony's right. I mean, how much more can I 10 out of 10 my balanced scorecard? How many more, amazing things can I do for this company? Where else can I go with this? Really? I'm not even 40 and I'm bored. Can I continue climbing this corporate ladder? Maybe I can. Am I prepared to move to Saudi Arabia to do it or to Kuwait to do it? Maybe. But here I've got Anthony on the line saying, listen, business is going through expansion. I need help. I need good help. Come back. And it's like, who are you kidding, man? Like, I'm not coming back. I've got legal matters to sort out. I mean, fuck, who wants to come back to that shit fight that I left? And he assured me and he made me understand that, you know what, people are still here and they remember you and they know you. And the honest truth is that I never fucked anyone over directly through. I mean, I lose money from restaurants all the time. When a restaurant closes and I lose 20 grand, I don't think for a minute that the guy that did me for 20 grand potentially did it on purpose. This is business.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no fucking guarantees in what we do. I buy fish. I sell fish. I provide credit. I provide credit to somebody who I know is a risk. So if shit hits the fan, I mean,
it goes both ways.
I mean, it is what it is, and I've always had that belief.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I've never gone out of my way to fuck someone over. I've never built amassed wealth for myself on the backs of others who then I pulled the pin, made myself wealthy and watched other people suffer as a result. And anyone can fucking do whatever they want. They'll never fucking prove that because I never did. So the reality of the matter is that I was coming back to something that I left that was quite clean. And the proof is what I'm doing today. If what I'm doing today, if what I did back then was so bad, then I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
My reputation's intact. So back to Anthony, he made it easy for me to come back. I came back and I stayed under the radar for the first year doing all the operational stuff. And before you knew it, the guy was on TV doing Ask the Butcher, and his time became more and more, scarce. And I was all of a sudden dealing with customers that I was dealing with before that he entrusted me with that would normally deal with him directly. So I was, Matt Moran on my phone and Luke Mangan and all these guys that I grew up with in the industry when they were no one, and then and that kind of thing. And then by the time you knew it, these people entrusted me, and I was talking ribeyes, and I was talking dry age, and I was talking Melbourne. We did
fish markets,
exciting stuff. And looking back on my life at that point, we had Demcos, we had corporate massive retail giant overseas for 4 years, and now here I am working for the best meat company in Australia, if not by far one of the best food companies I've ever come across. And I can speak from another perspective as well, in the sense that I know the guy well and intimately, and I'm not watching this company from an outsider's point of view, looking into an Instagram account and going, wow, I've lived it, breathed it, eaten it, cooked it,
warts and all,
everything. So I know this fucking business well, and it ignited my passion and my senses for what I always loved doing, through Anthony's business, and that's how I sort of ended up back in the game.
I want to park at Con because I want to talk about in detail, and we're going to do it in the next episode because you need to get home and get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, or as you say, you won't have a job or a wife. Because I do want to understand what the challenges were around working for your best mate, working for a guy who, whether it was deliberate or not, you guys were like a competitive force with different proteins and
for sure,
and the challenges around that when you're working for someone now as opposed to being the boss. So, mate, I understand why you were successful, because even doing a podcast with you is a million miles an hour. Are you sweet to come back and do round
100%. I enjoy being here, and
awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Let's do it in a couple of weeks.
Sure.
Man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.